episode of
Not Fighting.
I'm Tyler Bishop, and alongside me today is my undefeated pro MMA fighting wife, Jena Bishop.
Hey.
We were really excited to do this podcast because for regular listeners of the show or people that have been following, when we first started this podcast was kind of right around the time you started kind of thinking about maybe doing MMA, and people that have followed the show for, we've been doing this for over a year and a half, and have kind of been along with this journey. So, yeah, it's finally happened, 1-0.
I did it. Yeah, but I just started, so I'm really pumped. Really pumped. It's been a long time coming, and we've been kind of inconsistent with like the recording these podcasts because I've been getting ready for the fight, and it's just kind of a lot going on that makes doing this extra stuff a little bit like I wasn't motivated to do that because I was so tired from training. But we back, and I feel like we said that the last time, but I just fought, so it was a lot of fun. We just got back from Vail. I fought in the LFA, and it went perfectly.
Yeah, so for those that haven't seen the fight, you can watch it on LFA's Facebook page. They streamed it. She was the final prelim.
I posted the whole thing on my IG too.
At Jena Bishop BJJ on Instagram, and you can go watch it. Fair to say it was a one-sided affair. Did it feel that way to you in the match?
Yes.
I want to kind of break it down a little bit, but I want to first kind of just rewind and kind of go back through for people that have followed along. I think when we first started this show last year, you were talking about MMA, and then a year ago, last October, November, you'd been working with Kat Zingano, and you'd been, kind of trying to figure out, you'd been helping her get it ready wrestling-wise for a match. And she kind of planted the idea in your head of, potentially doing MMA, and you started training then. Yeah.
So, I started training in last, October, I believe. Yeah. So, a year ago. And I was supposed to fight, in February. If you've been listening to us for a while, I think you guys know that. And it's been really hard to get me a fight. And then someone was gracious enough to accept a fight with me. And so, the whole week, I was just as soon as we got there, I was cutting weight and still in good spirits. And the week was actually really, really easy. It went perfectly. It stressed me out a little bit at first because it's I've cut a lot of weight for jiu-jitsu, but most of the times when I'm cutting weight for jiu-jitsu, I don't have time to completely rehydrate. So you can't do a complete it's not really smart to do a water cut in that way where you don't have enough time to rehydrate and get your body back feeling good and enough energy. And so this was my first time doing a really big water cut like this. And so it just stressed me out because I'm oh, is it going to come off easy? And it was 1 hour of sweating, really. You know, maybe 2 hours total of actually cutting weight, and it came off easily. I felt good the whole time, and the next day felt great in my little shakeout warm up. It was amazing. So I was just smiling the whole time. We went to weigh-ins, and I'm smiling at my opponent with this face off, and I'm I shouldn't be smiling. That's kind of weird and creepy, but I was just so happy to finally be doing it. Oh my God. It's happening for real. It's finally.
And listeners of the show kind of know that journey. So ever since you had that experience of deciding you're going to train MMA, I think you were offered a fight in November of not last year. Maybe it was last year.
Yeah, last year.
Last year. And I think it was one of those things to where it was you'd been training a month. You were I don't have to take a 1 week late notice fight. And then after that, it was every month it seemed like you were supposed to have a fight, and then it didn't happen, and you couldn't get opponents. The LFA matchmaker told you that you were the hardest person he's ever had in terms of trying to find a matchup. And so, that experience of being so happy, people that have listened and experienced this along with you as we've done shows and stopped and start, they'll recognize the sort of that that glee that you had like at the
Yeah.
weigh-ins where you all week you were like, whether it was cutting weight or whatever, you were smiling because you're like, I'm just happy it's happening, like I'm here. Like seems like the amount of things that can go wrong has gone down significantly.
I remember, I mean, before, warming up, I was really relaxed and calm. Like, it's this weird feeling too. And it happens in most competitions, but this one was like a new experience. So I'm like, I'm getting ready to like just step into a cage and we're going to bang. So this is kind of a weird new experience, but
the wee part of that's very interesting that you said that, but we'll come back to that.
But it was something where I'm like, I kept telling you guys all week, like, I don't know how I feel right now. Like, there was this anxiousness of like, I just want to get in there and do it, which is usually like a normal feeling for me when I'm competing. But then there was this like weird calm and like fun energy that I had where I'm like, I don't know what this is. Like, I don't even know how to explain how I'm feeling right now. Like, I don't know. I can't explain it either. Still, like, I can't explain it, but it was a weird calmness. I think I felt really confident because I was so well prepared. If I had fought earlier this year, like, I definitely wouldn't be as good. I feel like I'm improving a lot and I'm going to continue to improve. I was already texting my personal, like my strength coach, because we usually work out on Mondays. I'm like, are we working out tomorrow? And he's like, it's up to you. Like, if you want a week to decompress. And I'm like, I want to train. And so I'm trying to like hold myself back and let my body like rest a little bit. But it's just something, I like training. I enjoy training. And I'm somebody that sometimes I think, do I like training more than I like competing? Because I like the grind of it. Because you got to kind of compete every day in training. And that's like fun for me because I'm competing with myself. And then I get to put that to test against other people. So I don't know. I just had this weird feeling, but it was so much fun. And I really enjoyed the fight. It went perfectly how I wanted it to. So, that makes it easier to enjoy.
Yeah. And I think, that's a feeling that kind of went around everybody that was in your corner. Like, once we were there at the venue, weigh-ins were done, everybody was warming up. It's like, aside from like a extremely like small chance that some freak incident happens, like the fight was going to happen. I think we were all just so excited because, even once we got there before weigh-ins, it's like there's still sort of this, like, I had these like butterflies of like, maybe something's going to happen and it's not going to happen. But, I remember telling people before this fight, she's too good to be 0-0. Like, and I don't mean that like, oh, like as a means of hyping you. I meant it as like, you need to go fight because you're, like you said, if this would have been a couple months ago, you wouldn't have been as sharp. You were getting to the point where
I can't remember who told me this. I think a couple people kind of like expressed this sentiment that were like, these people are going to be like sorry that they didn't get you. They didn't accept the fight earlier because like one of my friends, he said, if they would have accepted the fight earlier this year, they might have had a chance. But watching me spar, the last time he watched me spar, he was like, there's no chance for anyone. And I was like, oh, that's so sweet. But it's just, I'm really like committed to this. I'm really determined and I'm like ready to like just keep improving and like keep proving myself. And I think for me, it was really nice to like go out there and prove to everyone else, because I had a lot of people like saying like, oh, she's really good and this and that, and like hyping me to certain people. And like, then I get a show like, no, it's not just talk. Like, I'm ready and I'm excited and I'm here.
Yeah. And I think that's, a big part of MMA in general. Like, you and I have talked about this on the show before. And I think it's just a fact of, all competitive sports where the barrier to entry is just like you choose to participate. And that is that there's a lot of people out there that, like, for lack of, I'm just going to be like real blunt about it, like kind of posers.
Yeah.
And there's like there's a spectrum of that. There's the people that kind of maybe even lie to themselves all the way down to the person that's like completely faking it. But the thing is like, if you're a promoter or, you're, a matchmaker or whatever, you've heard the hype around people for so long. what you want to see is somebody validate that. And I think in your fight, a lot of people had, heard a lot of really great things about you. They see your training partners and hear the things that they have to say about you. And then, the fight, like I said, it was very one-sided. Can you maybe walk us a little bit through like kind of what that experience was like? You went out right off the bat, you threw a couple punches, and then you went ahead and just took her down. Was that the plan?
Of course. Of course. That's like, I feel like I've been like improving a lot in my striking. And so there was some like part of me like wanted to just like kind of show that off a little bit. But I kept coming back to like, no, like don't get caught up in pretending that I'm not a grappler. Like I have so much experience in the grappling department that it would be stupid for me to not use that. And I wanted to use my wrestling too. I've been really working on that a lot. And so, obviously like striking, I'm using my striking to set up my takedowns, and that's what I wanted to do and get it to the ground. So, I did that. And, I was trying to remind myself, like, be patient, like, don't rush certain things. Just like take what's given, use like ground and pound to like open things up. And, I am the only thing that I'm like, I really, 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 really wish I would have hit that because I had it, but like
Neon
not
neck
completely.
Choke is what you're talking about.
Yeah. Can I finish my own sentence?
Sorry.
Yes. My neon neck choke. Like it's something that I won't talk too much more about, but it's something that I have been doing forever. And I love that submission, and I had it, but not like I didn't have my full grips to finish it. Although I feel like maybe I could have finished it not with a full position, but it was one of those things where I'm not trying to be like stupid, take what's given, be smart, and not like rush anything. So,
and your opponent was really tough. Like that's the thing is she's a survivor. And I don't think she's somebody that you can put away with something that's not like
like I wanted to be like I knew that I needed to be super sharp to be able to finish her, and so that's what I was focused on. And I felt like I executed that well. I felt like I got to show off a little bit of striking, a little bit of wrestling, a little bit of jiu-jitsu. So hopefully people like know that I'm not just like a grappler that thinks that like they're just gonna like only be able to use grappling, like, and then that's it, like that's I'm just grappling, and then that's how my that's all I have.
Yeah. And one of the things that I thought was really interesting about the fight was 48 punches landed from you, 0 landed by your opponent. And obviously a lot of that's because of the grappling, but I also the thing that I saw in the fight that was really kind of like eye-opening to me was, when you started, I knew that you would probably be able to just will that fight to the ground, no matter how, if it was sloppy, whatever, you just get it down there and like it would get finished. However, it was how clean everything was, the lack of mistakes and errors that you made. Everything was just very, very tight. And I think that that's one of those things that, all the people that had heard the hype, it stood out, where it's like, this is not somebody that's making many mistakes. And on top of that, at the end, it's a really good position to be in coaching whenever you truly can. You were finishing your opponent, you were doing ground and pound on her back, and you started to slide your hand across her chest. And me and Johnny Faria, Coach Johnny, who was in your corner, we were both screaming like finish, because the referee was really close to stopping it.
Yeah.
And whenever you slid your hand underneath her neck, we both just put our hands on each other and we were like, yes, like get the submission, because we both thought the same thing, which is like, yes, we want the record to say submission. We didn't want it to say TKO, because they haven't got to see, the striking yet. And I don't think, it's one of those things. It's like, yeah, it's nice to kind of hold some things back maybe.
Yeah. I don't know. I just wanted to finish. That's what I want to do. So I did that, and I'm happy. I still can't stop smiling.
Now, there's one thing. There's a bone that we have to pick with LFA, and this is a big one. And
it messed up my walkout music.
Correct. Yeah.
But I don't Well, they said that there was like 7 different fighters that had their walkout music was wrong. So I don't know who was in charge of that, but yo, get that right, okay?
But here's the thing. I mean, a robot, a child, like pick somebody out of the audience. Pretty sure somebody else can do better than missing 7 out of how many fights were there on the card?
I don't know, but I'm not gonna hate too much. I don't know who exactly was responsible for that. So when I find out, then I might change my tune and just call them out directly. But no. So it is kind of weird though, because I was just like, we were like walking out and like they held like my corners back and I'm like walking out by myself for a little bit. And I was just so happy and I'm in the zone, like, let's go. I'm like dancing backstage. I'm like just smiling and vibing. And then all of a sudden I was like, wait, this isn't my music. This isn't what and I was like, I don't even know what this is. Like, I've never heard this song before. Like,
there was a ukulele involved.
I was like, what is it? It's like not me at all. Like, and so I was like, maybe they're playing my opponent's music on accident, but they played her music properly, or I'm assuming. But then I remember just like looking. I like realized, and I think I might have pointed to like, are you hearing this? And like look back at you, like, what's up with this music? That's not my music. And then like we were both just like, whatever, let's go fight.
Yeah, it's like I knew what you were thinking about too, and I was like, yeah, they didn't play the right music.
But
just
like,
stay focused.
Angie said, she's like, you should just wear headphones next time and have your music in there, because then like it will always be right.
I think we should hire you a marching band.
Ew, no, that's not what I want.
I think so.
I don't want a marching band.
To play DMX?
Yeah, I was just thinking. Yeah. There's a good one. There's some good stuff. That would be dope. But I'm not making enough money for that right now.
Not marching band money.
Not yet.
If you're a marching band out there though, and you do it pro bono,
a good one, not like
not like a garbage, like
not like
not like a middle school one.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, we don't want middle school band teachers. Chill.
We don't want you.
Not allowed. Is there anything about the fight itself that it surprised you, that felt different than what you expected?
It's just kind of weird, like punching people as hard as you can. I think more so on the ground, because that's something, in sparring, I'm never like you're never throwing your punches as hard as you can, especially not on the ground. So like ground and pound, like I'm just kind of like slapping people if I get them in certain positions, because it's like there's not a referee to stop it. There's not, that's just, you're not trying to like hurt your training partners. You're just trying to like get positions. And a lot of times I'll like kind of hit them a little bit and then like go for a submission, or like let them move, if I get like somebody trapped in a certain position. So being able to like do that was just kind of a weird feeling, almost like we were describing it, like it's kind of like throwing punches in a dream, where you're just like, I'm like, am I punching hard? I don't know if I am. And then I watched the video and I was like, oh yeah, I was.
Yeah, it's funny because you were talking about that with Angela, who's in your quote unquote in your corner.
Yes.
She was there with us all week, and
so grateful for her.
Angela Hill, who's one of the most accomplished female strawweights in UFC history, and she said, yeah, like that's a real thing, like you kind of feel like you're punching somebody in a dream. And it was so funny to me because I remember sitting there towards the end of the fight, and there was one punch that you landed on the ground when you had her back, and her head was pressed up against the mat, and it made this sound, and it was loud, but not like a slap, but like a thud, like there was bass in it. And it was like, I just remember Johnny and I were sitting next to each other, and we were both like, that was the thing where we saw the referee just sort of react to it the same way that we did, which was like, yeah, it's done. Like whatever you want to do, it's done. Because, I think it just speaks to like the skills that you've developed, because I don't think that you could have punched that hard on the ground had you not had all this kind of experience. I think there's a lot of little lessons that you've learned over the last 6 months that really refined a lot of the things that you've been doing. So I guess the question that people probably would want to know is like, what are you going to do next?
I mean, fight as soon as possible. I was telling the promoters, I'm like, I'm ready to go right away. Like, I'm healthy and I'm ready. I can make the weight on short notice. Like, that's fine. And then, they're going to be in LA in a few weeks. And I'm like, put me on those shows. And then I talked to my manager like right after I fought. And he was like, I was telling him, and he's like, I'm already on it. Don't worry. I'm talking to everybody already. And so, I'm ready to get back in there as soon as I can. Because it was a lot of fun. And I remember like, I was thinking, because it was such a long process of like, I basically been in camp for like, 8 months, 9 months or something like that. And so I just was like, man, I'm just so tired of everything. I just getting to the point where I'm like, I just want a vacation. I'm sick of doing all this stuff. And now I'm like, I don't even know if I want a vacation. I want to just get ready for another fight. And I think that's a good thing. Like, I don't want to, I know that I need to, and I know some of my coaches will be like, Jena, no, you need to take a break and you need to like let your body like just get some rest so that you can be at your best. But I also know like I feel good. I'm healthy, and I want to keep things rolling and going. Like, I want to have momentum and like don't lose it.
Yeah, what's funny is I was talking to Angela about this after the fight, because she's like, she needs to just take the time to chill on it. And she's like, let her body heal up. And I'm like, you don't realize like the fact that she had to cut weight and like actually do this fight, she took more rest in this last like week than she has in the last like 10 months. So she's like kind of healthy right now, like,
yeah.
So I don't know if you remember, but like maybe 2 months ago when you're supposed to fight the same opponent in St. Louis, and the state wouldn't license you because they've added some new rules and things like that. And they basically just wouldn't license a first time pro. And, I just remember sort of like almost kind of have to talk you into just stick with it. Like, get to this fight, just get to this fight so you can say you've done it, because you've put so much time and energy to it. It'd be a shame if you didn't do it.
Honestly, like when that was happening, I was like, maybe I'll just do this fight. And like, this is just isn't for me. Like, cause it's like, I'm enjoying training, but it's really hard to fight, and I'm getting frustrated and discouraged. So maybe like I'm like, we'll see how I feel after this fight, but it might just be like a one-time thing. Like, those were thoughts that went to my head. I went through my head a lot. And now I'm like, that's so stupid. Like, to just think I was going to do it one time and then be done.
And I
so silly.
I knew that about you, but I also just knew the struggle that had been like happening. And I that's why I was like probably more nervous just about the fight taking place. Once you were actually in the cage, I've never been so I guess I should say I've never been less nervous to watch you compete.
Yeah.
Because even back in the early days, whenever you first started competing in jiu-jitsu, your very first jiu-jitsu tournament's like, I don't know what to expect. You went out and killed everybody. So I was like, all right, she's really good at it. Then even after that, whenever I knew you were better than other people, like, even in those instances, I was like, well, I know she's better, but anybody can have an off day, In this, it's like, it's totally new. And I also just know how good you are. And I was just like, I'm just happy she's getting a chance to like actually show people.
Yeah.
Like, I was happy for you, you know?
I was happy too, because, I was starting to get a little bit of like imposter syndrome in a lot of ways, where I'm training with all these people, and then I'm talking to girls like in training that, have had experience before, and I'm like doing really good against them in sparring and stuff, but I'm like, it's just sparring, so I don't know if like a real fight, how that would actually go. And so I feel like I can't, because I haven't been in there, I haven't done it, I can't really like say a lot because I'm still haven't done it. So there was just a lot of things where I was just feeling like, I've been talking about this forever. I've been like wanting to do it, but it's not happening. And yeah, I'm doing all the training, but I haven't actually gotten to like do it. And the crazy thing is I've had harder sparring rounds than I have in that fight. And that to me is amazing, because it's really nice to know like I'm training with really tough, really good people, and I have the right people around me. And now I'm like, okay, I actually did it. So I don't feel like this like poser, or this like, it's like talk is cheap, but like I actually did it.
Yeah. And
I'm there. And I think then I proved to a lot of people like, no, I can do this and I can be really good.
Yeah, and I think, you mentioned...
And I don't mean that like in a cocky way. I feel
No.
like that comes across really cocky, but I'm like, I think it's proving to myself just as much proving to other people.
Yeah, and I think that that's a good thing too, from the standpoint of, I think, being being an elite fighter means you have to have a type of confidence. You don't have to be cocky, but the truth is like, if you're not going to be the most confident person in your abilities, then you're going to have to rely on other people to do that. And that gets shaky sometimes, because if your confidence can be broken, then somebody else can break it for you.
Yeah.
And I think one of the things that stood out to me just in the entire experience was, you kind of mentioned this earlier, which is like, the girls that turned down the fight with you are going to be sorry they did that. And, the promoter
That wasn't
said,
something I said. Other people said that to me about me.
You mentioned it earlier,
Yeah,
though.
yeah.
And that's something that the promoter had said as well. And he was basically just like, the girls that turned down the fight, you're gonna make them fight you, because to basically climb the ladder, they're gonna eventually have to go through you, and they're gonna be sorry that they missed the opportunity to fight you whenever things maybe were less refined. And I think that's that's the next stage. I'm really excited to see where it goes. I didn't know how I was gonna feel about watching you fight MMA. And, I'm still the same as I was before, which is one fight at a time. This one was this one was so fun, and I wasn't nervous. There'll be a time whenever I'm sure I'm more nervous.
For sure.
You not eating any punches was really nice. I don't know if I'll feel differently once you actually get hit in the face, but,
You've seen me get hit though.
Yeah. I don't like that.
I know. I don't like it either. But it's part of it.
Yeah. It was a lot of fun to be in your corner, and I think, fighting in Vail was really cool too. It's a cool town.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy that I was fighting at like really high altitude. That's my first fight, and it's a good test to my cardio. Like, I didn't feel the altitude at all, but we were at like 8,000 feet?
8,150.
Yeah. And I felt pretty good. So
it's
that's
nice.
That's good. That makes me a little bit more confident in like my cardio, my skills.
I think they said it's the highest altitude that you can that's ever been like a venue for MMA in the United States. So, is in the United States, there's only down that you can go, and if you get to fight at sea level next time, hey, I'm
gonna feel great.
But yeah, I think that's it. I wanted to take this podcast to just kind of like go through it with you and kind of share with the podcast listeners everything, you and I and, some of your corners have been talking about the last couple days and last week or so, because I know a lot of our listeners have been along on this journey with you. And anything else to share just based on your experience and some of the things that we've talked about on the show before?
No, I mean, I'm just like, I don't know. Like I said, I'm just so happy that like we were able to get this fight, to finally like get in there and get my feet wet, and I'm really excited for like what's to come. I'm feeling like, like really encouraged at the moment. So hopefully I'll have some really good news coming up soon about another fight. Sorry.
She had a milkshake earlier today.
Yeah, I was craving a milkshake. And it's funny because I'm like, it's not something that I usually want. But man, it sounded really good and finally got one. That's the funny thing about cutting weight. We've talked about it where it's like all you want, you like the whole time you're cutting and you're restricting yourself, and like it's like there's things that you want and you're like making lists of food, but as soon as you get done, it's like, I'm not really hungry. I just really want to drink something. So I just need some water. And like, that's all that you really crave is like water or like juice. But I did smash some watermelon, and that was amazing. That was probably the best. I think that needs to be like a staple of like rehydration. Watermelon, because it was great. It was perfect.
Yeah.
I think I ate like half a watermelon in one sitting.
I think you were also surprised just how easy the weight cut was for you. We knew that as a flyweight, it would, still to this day, I think it would be near impossible for you to get to strawweight without just looking like you were on death's door. But, the flyweight cut, everybody kind of told you, it should be pretty easy. And I think you were maybe a little surprised how easy it was.
Yeah, I was. It really was.
So keep that in mind.
Hopefully,
promoters.
I think altitude probably helped that too.
Yeah.
Being in altitude. But I don't know. I think it's really nice to be able to, like, I'm not worried about making that weight. And that was one of the things that I wanted to do is like, I don't want to be at a weight where I couldn't make it on a short notice.
Yeah.
You know, I could be healthy. And then I think a lot of people kill themselves to make a weight class because they think it's like an advantage, but it's only an advantage to a certain point, because I like the fact that I don't have to suffer a lot through camp. I can still eat and be happy and like feel strong and have energy to train throughout the fight camp, and then, you know, just suffer for like 1 week.
Yeah, I mean, think about the resources that it consumes for a lot of people. It's like, number one, the time that you have to work out and exercise. That's time you could be doing skill work. And then also just the mental
the
time
mental
of
part
thinking
of
about what you eat and how that affects your performance. And yeah, I mean, I this is something that you and I felt strongly about when you first started this.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, you know, in a lot of ways, you know, the whole process has been validated, and that, you know, yeah. So if you're out there and you're cutting lots of weight, like, my recommendation is don't.
Yep.
Just be healthy, though. You can't be swinging. You can't be eating.
Yeah, I mean,
junk food all
I
the
think
time.
that's the thing that people get caught up or get that makes the weight cuts even harder. Is a lot of people they'll go from like, you know, swing like 40 pounds in between, or like, because they're just they let themselves binge, and then they're not like, they don't keep up on their workouts and all this other stuff. It's like, no, like, stay healthy.
Dieting is like an on or off thing for them.
Yeah, it's like, it's not all or nothing. Like, you can still stay healthy in between fights. You don't have to get fat. Like my friend AJ Cisco.
Yeah.
I'm gonna call out Nabisco Cisco.
I forgot we called him that. Man, we had lots of great names for him. Thong Song. Yeah, all kinds of stuff. We could go on for days. But yeah, I just want to say thanks to all of our listeners and all the people that have supported and the people that watch live. You know, I think it was really cool that before Jena even walked out, the live stream was just consumed with comments that are like, Jena, let's go, Jena. Where's Jena?
Yeah. No, I'm just so grateful to everyone for supporting me. And then, you know, I have such a good group of people around me, with, you know, training partners and coaches and just like friends and students that are all just so encouraging and so supportive. And like, it's just really nice to be around people that want to see you succeed genuinely, and like will like sacrifice for you in order to make that happen. And I feel like, you know, because that's how I feel like
we've been those
I've
people.
been that for a lot of people, because I want to be. It's not like it's not a chore. It's not, you know, something that's asked of me. It's like, that's what I want. And like, I think I have a lot of people that are in this, or have that same opinion, you know, that's what they want. So I'm just really, really grateful for that.
Yeah, I am too. I'm grateful for the people that we have around us. And speaking of which, we can announce a new sponsor, and somebody that we encourage all our podcast listeners to go and check out, because we've been fans and friends of the people at Hyperfly for a long time. Mm-hmm. And for those that were watching the fight, they probably saw you
unofficially. Officially, I'm with that brand now. I'll have more information and stuff, so look out for that. Like, I think like discount codes and affiliate like links soon. So be on the lookout for that on my IG. But yeah.
And we had a lot of people asking about like Jena Bishop like fight shirts or walkout tees or something like that. And you know, this one was one of those things where it's like so many stops and starts. It's like, just didn't want to jinx ourselves, but in the future, yeah, we'll plan to have something like that available. And
one of the things I just have to give like a separate shout outs to is Robert. He was a guy he was a sponsor for me with his company is All Tech Gates. They're out of Northern California, and he like really like kind of bankrolled my whole training camp in a lot of ways. It's not cheap to like, because my training isn't all like in one spot. Like I have to pay like separate coaches, trainers, and like private sessions to be able to build up my skills and get myself to, because I want to do this the most professional way that I can, because like I take it very seriously. So he kind of like supported me, sponsored me for a lot of my training.
Came to the fight
and is just somebody that like is amazing. So thank you so much for that.
Yeah, and I think Team Jena Bishop is a really strong one, and I think it just speaks to I think just the voice that you have and the type of leader that you are, and I'm really grateful. I'm grateful that you're my wife, but grateful that I get to share in this with you, because it's been a lot of fun.
I also just remembered one thing that's just like sidebar, but really funny, because obviously I know your family members and like spouses and parents, like it's really hard to like watch your child or your spouse get out there, get in the cage and like fight. But my mom like was one that she's like, I can't watch. My dad said the same thing too, but he did watch. And then my mom, once she found out that I won, went back and replayed it. And one of my old friends from like church back in the day, she said she was watching it with my mom. They were like together at church, and I guess when I was doing some ground and pound, my mom was just like, Jenna, stop.
Stop. She's had enough.
And I'm like, I can imagine my mom doing that. And I love you, Mom, for that, because you're such a kind, compassionate person that you were worried for my opponent. As long as I wasn't getting hurt, you didn't want the other person getting hurt either.
I can just
I guarantee though, if she would have hit me and like I would have been hurt like at all, my mom would have been like the other way, like the opposite. But
is that allowed?
I just want to say thanks, Mom. You're such a caring person, and I love you.
Yeah. And thanks to all of our listeners once again. Your support and things like that are one of the things that's just helped Jenna get to where she's at. And, all the people listening to this show, your support means the world to us, and we're thankful for it. And hopefully more announcements and stuff like that soon. So stay following along. And we'll keep the episodes a little bit more regular now. And I promise we won't just talk about Jenna fighting MMA. We'll talk about Space Jam 3.
No. Stop.
All the other kinds of stuff that's out there. But anything else, Jenna?
No, that's all.
All right. We want to thank everyone for watching another episode or listening to another episode of
Not Fighting.